So I want to talk a little bit about Donald Trump's peace deal with between Israel and the Fakestinians. And but before I get started, because this is going to lead into it, by the way, because there are some things about Charlie Kirk that I want to update on. When I mean Charlie Kirk, what I really mean is Turning Point USA and Crowd. So, David Cohen, well, with a name like that, there's obviously Jewish blood in him, okay? Commented, let's not get semantic about, as they call the tetragrammaton, but the name is Yehovah, the word, Christian or God. Then he says the ADL seeks to destroy people whose faith is unbending, like Daniel, Mordecai, and Peter. So what he is suggesting, because in this particular video, I pointed out that it appears that Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk were extorting money from Jewish donors. And that Charlie Kirk accused the Anti-Defamation League of being in league with BLM, Black Lives Matter, when in fact that was a bald-faced lie. In fact, Black Lives Matter is anti-Zionist and pro-Fakestinian. You can Google it for yourself. And he is this fellow who has a Jewish name, is accusing or is suggesting that the people at Turning Point USA are like Daniel, Mordecai, and the name never was Peter. That was a name superimposed upon Cephas because it was the name of Deuspater. And Deuspater is in fact Satan, and I've done a couple of videos about that. Okay, so I want to answer this fellow, and I want to play a little bit of a video by what is this guy? Philip DeFranco. Now I don't know what Philip DeFranco's politics are. I really don't care. Okay? But what I'm going to play, probably about the first 7 or 8 minutes of it, and I'm going to do a little commenting in between.
Back to the Philip DeFranco Show. You daily dive into the news. It's Tuesday, and there's a lot to talk about, starting with this. This Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, MAGA divide situation is crazy, especially as you've got Candace Owens dropping alleged Charlie Kirk text screenshots. Because if you haven't seen, ever since Charlie Kirk was assassinated, you've had Candace Owens out there questioning the federal investigation, discussing it frequently on her podcast, and putting out some of her own theories or possibilities as to why or how he was killed. With all that, she's often claimed that Charlie, who had long been pro-Israel, was starting to change his mind and had become more critical. And she got a ton of attention when she claimed that MAGA and pro-Israel billionaire Bill Ackman had privately cornered Charlie at an event in the Hamptons not long before his death and made, quote, threats after Charlie questioned the way that Israel was handling the war. Now, Ackman
made threats? This guy is a donor. A donor to Turning Point USA. A billionaire. And Charlie Kirk was accusing or making light of what the Palestinians did, what Hamas did by accusing Israel of things that you do in war. You know, kind of like what the United States did to Germany and Dresden. Oh no, Israel never did anything like that. What the United States did in Dresden was far, far, far worse. What the United States did to the quote-unquote, as they say, Native Americans was far, far worse. You can go to every war the United States of America had done, and it was far, far worse for their enemy than it was for the so-called Palestinians. So what then Charlie Kirk was doing was taking side of the terrorists and not Israel. Let's listen further.
Been denied that, and we had Charlie's producer and spokesperson claiming that Charlie had a cordial relationship with Bill. But apparently at this Hamptons meeting, people were questioning whether or not Charlie should host Tucker Carlson, who he's been very critical of Israel at an upcoming event, and Kirk allegedly claimed. Honestly, people telling me not to have Tucker makes me want to have Tucker.
Oh! And Tucker Carlson was even more anti-Israel. You see? Now listen.
The Times did some of the latest claims that Candace has made, saying yesterday on her show that Charlie was, quote, done with Israel bullying him and then sharing screen.
Bullying him. Israel bullying him. How? By telling them, we're not going to be extorted by you if you're going to host these anti-Israel virulent people on whatever show or whatever you've got going on.
Screenshots of messages that she claims came from a group chat that Charlie was in with his pastor and 7 other people, where he said,
So Charlie writes in this group chat, just lost another huge Jewish donor.
Just lost another huge Jewish donor. Why? Why are you Christians out there extorting money from Jews? Why are you doing this?
$2 million a year because...
Extorting $2 million a year, but got cut off because they are flirting with people who dance with Nazi ideology like Candace Owens.
We won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. Somebody writes, oh. Charlie writes, Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes I cannot end.
Jewish donors play into all the stereotypes. You, Charlie Kirk, were extorting money from the Jews, and then you turn around and do this.
Will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause.
Leaving him no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause. Okay. So these Christians, like Candace Owens, like Charlie Kirk at Turning Point USA, we're only about the money. We're only about the donations to steer clear, to try to nudge the folks at Turning Point USA to steer clear of Nazi ideology, saying, support us and we'll support you. This is what these Jews were saying. Support us and we'll support you. These Christians get angry when they're not paid. And they get angry because these Christians still want to flirt with Nazi ideology. The ideology of ancient crusaders. Now, I don't know if there's any more for me to...
And somebody writes, donor writes, please do not invite Candace. That might feel good short term, but it's not good long term. This is 48 hours before Trump was assassinated. He was very clear, he was very explicit, and he did not back down on that in that Hamptons meeting, which they're all lying about.
Okay, so Candace Owens has been suggesting that the Jews somehow, or that Israel or Mossad somehow had Charlie Kirk killed. Could very well be that him acting like Balaam got a curse laid upon him from above. That is the greater possibility. So I think I'm done with this part of the DeFranco situation here, and so what I'm pointing out is that this fellow David Cohen 12345 suggesting that Turning Point USA and Charlie Kirk's faith was unbending like Daniel, Mordecai, and Cephas. Please stop insulting the prophets. Now, let's talk a little bit about, oh yay, we got a peace deal between Israel and the Palestinians. Trump expects Israel hostages to be released Monday. Families celebrate peace. Trump claims victory in Israel-Hamas peace deal. Mideast expert analyzes Gaza peace deal. Israeli government approves first part of peace deal to release hostages. Israel, Hamas agreed to phase 1 of Trump peace deal to release hostages. All right. Let me show you something, folks. What happened here? How did I lose it again? All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and look for terms of Trump peace deal. I'm not sure if I can even find it. All right, this is pretty good. So on BBC, Trump's 20-point Gaza peace plan in full. All right. U.S. President Donald Trump says Israel and Hamas have signed off on the first phase of his 20-point Gaza peace plan. And everybody needs to read this carefully. In fact, I will post a link so you can look at it yourself. In major steps toward a permanent end to 2 years of war, he unveiled the plan at the White House on 29th of September alongside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who said Israel accepted the terms. On October 3rd, Hamas said it agreed to return all 48 remaining hostages being held in Gaza in exchange for Palestinian prisoners in Israeli jails and Gaza detainees, and the idea of handing over the governments of Gaza to Palestinian technocrats. But the group did not mention other elements, most notably the requirement that it disarm. Once the ceasefire takes effect, U.S., Qatari, Egyptian, and Turkish mediators will attempt to get both sides to agree to what Trump called a strong, durable, and everlasting peace. Now, this is starting to sound like something here. I want everybody to be extremely wary and extremely careful in the coming days and in the coming years. Here is the full text of the President's plan as provided by the White House. Number 1, Gaza will be de-radicalized, terror-free zone that does not pose a threat to its neighbors. Gaza will be redeveloped for the benefit of the people of Gaza who have suffered more than enough. If both sides agree to this proposal, the war will immediately end. Israel forces will withdraw to the agreed upon line to prepare for a hostage release. During this time, all military operations, including aerial and artillery bombardment, will be suspended, and battle lines will remain frozen until conditions are met for a completely staged withdrawal. Complete staged withdrawal. Within 72 hours of Israel publicly accepting this agreement, all hostages alive and deceased will be returned. Once all hostages are released, Israel will release 250 life sentence prisoners plus 1,700 Gazans who were detained after the 7th of October 2023, including all women and children detained in that context. For every Israeli hostage whose remains are released, Israel will release the remains of 15 deceased Gazans. Once all hostages are returned, Hamas members who commit to peaceful coexistence and to decommission their weapons will be given amnesty. Members of Hamas who wish to leave Gaza will be provided safe passage to receiving countries. Upon acceptance of this agreement, full aid will be immediately sent to Gaza Strip. At the minimum, aid quantities will be consistent with what was included in the 19th of January 2022 agreement regarding humanitarian aid, including rehabilitation of infrastructure, water, electricity, sewers, rehabilitation of hospitals, bakeries, and entry of necessary equipment to remove rubble and open roads. Entry of the distribution and the aid to the Gaza Strip will proceed without interference from the two parties through the United Nations and its agencies and the Red Crescent, in addition to other international institutions not associated with any manner of either party. Opening the Rafah crossing in both directions will be subject to the same mechanism implemented under the 19th of January 2025 agreement. Gaza will be governed under the temporary transitional government of a technocratic, apolitical Palestinian committee responsible for delivery of day-to-day running of public services and municipalities for the people of Gaza. This committee will be made up of qualified Palestinians and international experts with oversight and supervision by a new international transitional body, the Board of Peace. The Board of Peace. This is unbelievable. Which will be headed and chaired by none other than President Donald J. Trump, with other members and heads of state to be announced, including former Prime Minister Tony Blair. This body will set the framework and handle the funding for the redevelopment of Gaza until such time as the Palestinian Authority has completed its reform program as outlined in various proposals, including President Trump's peace plan in 2020 and the Saudi-French proposal, and can securely and effectively take back control of Gaza. This body will call on the best international standards to create modern and effective governance that serves the people of Gaza and is conducive to attracting investment. 10. A Trump economic development plan to rebuild and energize Gaza will be created by convening a panel of experts who have helped birth some of the thriving modern miracles in the Middle East. Many thoughtful investment proposals and exciting development ideas have been crafted by well-meaning international groups and will be considered to synthesize the security and the government frameworks to attract and facilitate these investments that will create jobs, opportunity, and hope for the future of Gaza. 11. A special economic zone will be established with preferred tariff and access rates to be negotiated with participating countries. No one will be forced to leave Gaza, and those who will wish to leave will be free to do so and free to return. We will encourage people to stay and offer them the opportunity to build a better Gaza. 13. Hamas and other factions agree to not have any role in the governance of Gaza, directly, indirectly, or in any form. All military, terror, and offensive infrastructure including tunnels and weapons and production facilities, will be destroyed, not rebuilt. There will be a process of demilitarization in Gaza under the supervision of independent monitors, which will include placing weapons permanently beyond use, though an agreed process of decommissioning and supported by an internationally funded buyback and reintegration program of all verified by the independent monitors. New Gaza will be fully committed to building a prosperous economy and peaceful coexistence with their neighbors. This is the biggest pile of bullshit that I have ever seen in my life, disguised as words, disguised as peace. This is unbelievable. So a part of the deal is, number 16, Israel will not occupy or annex Gaza. Really? This is one of the most foul things. I think maybe I'll just 15. The United States will work with Arab and international partners to develop a temporary international stabilization force immediately deploying Gaza. So all these countries are going to deploy in Gaza, and the ISF will train and provide support to vetted Palestinian police forces in Gaza and will consult with Jordan and Egypt, who have the extensive experience in this field. This force will be long-term international or internal security solution. The ISF will work with Israel and Egypt to help secure bullshit. I cannot stand to read this anymore. Okay? So you're going to let all of these murderers free. This is what you're going to do. You actually think that Tony Blair, Donald Trump, and all of them with their grand peace forever strategy is going to work? Let me show you what Isaiah 24 says about that and what's going to happen because of it. Not the Lord, not behold, just Yehovah makes the earth empty and laid waste and turned it upside down, turn it on its face. Because of his anger. Turns it on its face. And scatters into pieces the inhabitants thereof. As with the people, so with the priest. As with the servant, so with his master. As with the maid, so is the mistress. Everybody is going to get it. So with the buyer, so with the seller. So with the borrower and the taker of usury, then the giver of usury. The land shall be utterly emptied. Alright, so let's look at this word. It says luxuriant. Make empty. Will be emptied. Bakak. That's what it means. Shall be bakak. Emptied. And plundered. For Jehovah has spoken this speech. The earth mourns and fades away. The world languishes and fades away, and the haughty people of the earth are now languishing. The earth is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the Torah, changed the ordinance, changed the statute, and broke the everlasting covenant. That is, they broke the new covenant. How did they do this? Well, you got to first find out what the new covenant is. And what you do is you look at Yeremiah 31. Come on, get Strong's Concordance up here. All right. So, let me explain something to you. Just before, I will, here's what I'll do. I'll go to exactly where I was going to begin with. 31. So what covenant? What new covenant? What is the everlasting covenant? The days come, says Jehovah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehuda. This is not spiritual Israel and spiritual house of Yehuda. No, this is literal Israel and the house of Yehuda. Not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day when I took them by the hand to lead them out of the land of Egypt, which covenant they broke, when I was husband unto them, says Jehovah. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel in the after part. Says Jehovah, I will put my Torah in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor, and every man his brother, saying, Know Jehovah, for they shall all know me from the least unto the greatest of them, says Jehovah, for I will forgive their iniquity and remember their sin no more. How is this covenant going to be enacted? It'll be enacted this way. At that time, says Jehovah, I will be the Elohim of all the families of Israel, and they shall be my people. Says Jehovah, the people that were left of the sword found grace in the wilderness, even Israel. I caused them to rest. Jehovah appeared in old, saying, I have loved you with an everlasting love. With loving kindness I have drawn you, or brought you, taken you to the land of Israel. Again I will build you, and you shall be built, O Virgin of Israel. You shall again be adorned with your timbrels, and you shall go forth and dance and make merry. You shall plant vines upon the mountains of Samaria. You know, Judea and Samaria, the lands that the United States and the rest of the Roman world will not allow Israel to plant on. That's a part of the new covenant. So, the Roman world, led by Donald Trump today, is still blocking the new covenant, thereby breaking the new covenant. And they shall plant and eat and plow. Okay? For thus says Jehovah, sing with gladness for Jacob, shout among the head of nations. Publish and pray, say Jehovah, save your people, the remnant of Israel. I will bring them from the north and gather them from the coastlands, that would be from the Roman Empire of the earth, and will bring them, the blind and the lame, and the woman with her child, and them that travails with child together. A great company shall return. This is the new covenant. Hear the word of Jehovah, you Gentiles, and declare it to the coastlands afar off. He that scattered Israel will gather him and keep him as a shepherd does his flock. For Jehovah has redeemed Jacob and ransomed him from the hand of him that was stronger than he. So, President Donald Trump, I ask you, why are you still holding Zionists hostage in the United States of America? You forced the Israeli government to agree to this horrific peace deal that cannot be kept, that will not. The Palestinians won't do it, and because of that, Israelis are going to suffer more murders. And I'm telling you, President Donald Trump, once Israel agrees to this deal, this peace deal, every single Jew whose blood is shed by these criminal terrorist organizations over there in Gaza, that blood will be now on your hands. It will be your curse. Let me repeat myself. President Donald Trump, any blood that is shed by these people who you forced Israel to give clemency to shall shed, any drop of blood will be squarely upon your head and upon the United States of America. The United States of America will be equally guilty of that blood. And that is why, folks, Isaiah 24 is going to occur. But let's continue with Isaiah 24, and I will show you what the dealers, he accuses the world leaders of being incredibly deceitful dealers. Therefore has the curse devoured the earth, because you broke that covenant that's written about in Yeremiah 31. You blocked Israel from being gathered back. And you caused further pain and suffering upon the Jews. You broke the everlasting covenant, and this is the reason the curse will devour the earth. There will be a shower of meteors upon the earth, probably centered around but not exclusive to the Mediterranean Sea. There will be a nuclear conflagration as a result, and there will be 3.5 years of no rain upon the earth to force this world to give up all Israel and bring them back home. And they that dwell on the earth are desolate, and the inhabitants of the earth are burned, are scorched, and few men left. Right here in verse 10, the city of confusion, that means Babylon. And we know that Rome today is the second Babylon. How do you know this? Because they, just like the first Babylon, took all Israel into captivity and scattered them among the Gentiles. It is broken down, and every house is shut up, that no man may come in. There is crying for wine in the streets, and all joy is darkened, and the mirth of the land is gone. The cities are left desolate, and the gates are smitten with destruction. You know, the borders. The borders are smitten with destruction, and people will overrun them to pillage. And they will, this will be in the midst of the land among the people. When the shaking of the olive tree and the gleaning of the grapes in the vineyard, what does that mean? I will show you what that means. That is on the day. Revelation 6. Your preacher will never get this because he's not looking for this. But I'm going to show it to you. I don't get paid by anybody to do this. Revelation 6. And I beheld, and there, when he opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood, and the stars, yes, stars, not star, fell from heaven unto the earth, like a fig tree cast her untimely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. So, this Isaiah 24, this whole chapter begins when the meteors start falling from the sky like the shaking of an olive tree and the gleaning of the grapes when the vintages. See, there you have it, folks. There's your connection. People will lift up their voice. The Jews will lift up their voice and sing Majesty of Jehovah. They will cry aloud from the Mediterranean Sea. The Yam is the Mediterranean Sea. Why are you glorifying Jehovah in the fires, even Shem Jehovah Elohim of Israel in the coastlands of the sea? Why is that? Let me show you this. They shall walk through the fire and not be burned. Watch. Let me just get rid of that and see what I can pull up. Isaiah 43. It's not, I can't get things to move here. Verse 2, when you pass through the waters, I will be with you. So talking about the Mediterranean Sea. And when, let's go straight there. And when you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. This is, what is he talking about? This is talking about Israel's Savior when he comes to redeem him. So that's what it's talking about in Isaiah 24. These people will be waiting on the coastlands to be picked up by ships, flying ships. There will be fires all around them, but they will not be burned. That's what it says. And this is the reason why Isaiah is saying, is awestruck by their in the fires. And then it says, from the uttermost parts of the earth we have heard songs, just and righteous, saying, leanness, leanness, woe to me, the treacherous dealers have dealt treacherously. Yet, yes, the treacherous dealers have dealt very, very, very treacherously. To whom? To Israel. It's talking about the people of Israel being dealt treacherously with. And this Trump peace deal is a glaring, glittering prime example of utter and complete treachery, and this, along with many other treacherous deals that the United States of America and the rest of Christian Europe has made with Israel, is going to bring this curse of Isaiah 24 upon the whole of the earth. Fear and the pit and the snare are upon the inhabitants of the earth, and it shall come to pass that he who flees from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit, and he that comes out of the pit shall be taken in the snare. For the windows from on high are open, and the foundations of the earth are shaking. What? Okay, didn't we just read in Revelation 6, 6 seal, a great earthquake. Check. So here in Isaiah 24 you have the great earthquake, and you have something like olives falling from the olive trees, just as it says in Revelation 6. Clearly, asteroids. The earth will reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be moved like a hut is knocked over. And the transgression thereof will be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. And it shall come to pass in that day, Jehovah shall punish the armies of the great ones. That would mean the greatest one would be United States. There's Russia, there are the Europeans, there's China, there's India. Punish all of them that are on high, and the kings of the earth upon the earth. And they will be gathered together as prisoners and gathered into the pit, and they will be shut up in the prison. And after many days they shall be visited, aka put on trial. When is this going to happen? Well, we've got a third clue. When the moon is confounded and the sun is ashamed. Go back to Revelation. I don't know why I took that back out, but now I got to go bring it back. Revelation 6. For those of you who want to see it, I'll show it to you. When he opened the sixth seal, lo, there was a great earthquake, check, and the sun became black as sackcloth of hair, and the moon became as blood. We'll go back to here. The moon shall be confounded, and the sun ashamed. That's what that means. So now you know when it's going to occur. When the meteors start falling from the sky, and great darkness covers the earth because of this grand meteor explosive event. And at that time, it says, when Jehovah of hosts shall reign in Mount Zion, Jerusalem. It says, with the ancients, that would be Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay? So, what I'm telling each and every one of you right now, this peace deal, could be, but there have been many, could be the one we're looking for in 2 Thessalonians 5. Verse 1, But in the times and the season, brethren, you have no need that I write to you, for you yourselves know perfectly that the day of Jehovah so comes as a thief in the night. For when they shall say, peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them as a travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. I hope, folks, that you read this and connect the dots. You are in grave danger. The whole world is in grave danger because of this. But not only because of Donald Trump's 20-point peace plan, but because of all the other failed, treacherous peace plans that were designed specifically to break the new covenant for Israel.